So this video's been a little bit overdue, but we are now going to do the last two episodes of the Moving Forward series, and I do apologize the fact that this has been delayed so long. I did say that back in last year in late December that I said that I was going to do it right away when the calendar turns to 2019, and unfortunately I didn't able to fulfill that promise, but I will fulfill that promise now of actually doing the Portland Timbers Moving Forward series, and I will do the Atlanta one, I believe, on Thursday, and that will be the final episode and pretty much just complete the series for the Moving Forward, as I've covered all 23 teams in terms of just kind of look at their overall season and just take a look at moving forward, what are they going to be like. But either way, let's start with the Timbers, who they finished the season. And for those of you that are watching this for the first time, this is the regular season tally. It does not include the postseason. But they finished the regular season with 15 wins, 10 losses, and 10 draw and 9 losses. They finished the season with 54 points. They scored 54 goals in this season, allowing 48, and their goal differential is +6. And I forgot to mention here on the bottom that they lost to Atlanta United in the MLS Cup, but I'm pretty sure everybody knows by now that they lost to Atlanta in the MLS Cup. And I also forgot to mention that they finished 5th in the Western Conference. Your top goal scored, and I'm going to move this lamp, I'm going to dim this lamp a little bit because it's kind of a little bit kind of blocking the top goal scorer chart. But in first, unsurprisingly, you got Diego Valeri with 10 goals, and then you got Sebastian Blanco with also 10 goals. Samuel Armenteros with 8 goals, although Armenteros is no longer with the Portland Timbers. Larius Mabiola with 5 goals, and Fernando Audi with 3 goal apiece. And just like Armenteros, Audi is no longer with the Portland Timbers. He's with Cincinnati right now. So basically what's interesting about the Timbers is that of the top 5 goals scored this season, 2 of them are no longer in their team. So that's kind of a little bit interesting. But in terms of the top assist leader, you got Diego Valeri again with 12 assists. Sebastian Blanco again with 11 assists. Christian Paredes with 3 assists, Alvis Powell with 3 assists, and Jeremy ABovoc with 2 assists. And again, when you look at the top goal scorer and assist leader, it's pretty clear that they were heavily relying on Valeri and Sebastian Blanco this season, with both of them are just doing incredible, having incredible number, while the rest, yeah, not really that much, especially with the assist leader too. Like, look at that. 11 assists from Sebastian Blanco, and then the next person is not even, they didn't even get 5 assists. Like, the next person has almost 4 times less assists than what Sebastian Blanco has this season. So that's kind of a little bit surprising. But what went right for the Timbers? Well, they made MLS Cup when no one expected them. Everybody thought that they were going to have an early round exit once they go into the postseason because, you know, heading into the postseason, they were not very hot. Like, they weren't lighting it up and were in a very good form heading into the playoffs where they can really make some noise in the playoffs. Many people thought they were going to exit in the early round. Nope. That, of course, is not what it happens. So the other thing that went right is that it's another incredible year for Diego Valeri. Now, I will say this, Valeri this season definitely kind of dropped a little bit considering in the past season. You know, last season I think, or not last season, but the previous season prior to this one, that was probably the best we have ever seen Diego Valeri, and rightly so that he won MVP that year. But yeah, this year he did kind of win a little bit of a decline, but let's face it, he was still very impressive, and he was the reason why they beat FC Dallas in that knockout round. So not only he's making impact in the regular season, but he's also making impact in the postseason too. And whether or not we're gonna see if El Maestro can continue his consistent form that he's been. He's been known to be one of the most consistent player in the league, keep posting big numbers year in and year out, and El Maestro is getting old, and we'll see if this decline that he had from this year to prior last year is just something that showed that Father Time probably is starting to catch up to him. And also they have a great home record, which is not a big surprise because Providence Park is one of the hardest places to play at and one of the hardest places to get something out of that stadium. But what still needs to improve? Well, it's the road record. And I know in the playoffs they were incredible on the road, but let's face it, in the playoffs, I will kind of admit that they had to ride their luck at times. And this is not because I hate the Timbers or anything, but you look at the game against FC Dallas. They got a red card in that game, and they kind of rode their luck, the fact that FC Dallas was absolutely toothless in that game. And then against their hated rival, the Seattle Sounders, they had to go all the way to penalty kick shootout, and that could have gone either way in terms of their favorite. And then in that Sporting KC game, again, Sporting KC really was the better team in that second leg, all but for 10 minutes. And it just happened to so that at 10 minutes is all it took for the Timbers to get those 2 goals and get those advantage and get those goals to move on into the MLS Cup final. And other than that, when you look at their overall season in terms of on the road, and especially in the second half of the season, they were god-awful on the road. Like, they just couldn't do anything on the road whatsoever. So they're going to have to probably address that somehow. And then too much relying on Diego Valeri. Again, as Valeri is getting older, he is going to kind of slow down a little bit. Now, I wonder, does the Timbers are ready to have a plan where they're going to replace Valeri? And I'm not saying they need to absolutely replace something similar to what Valeri is, because let's face it, it is really hard to replace Valeri. I mean, this guy is kind of like a once in a generation kind of guy that they could potentially picked up. And I'm not saying that they have to absolutely replace him, but get someone just as good as what Valeri does, or else then this could be a bit of a problem for the Timbers, knowing that when I go back to what I said about the goal scorer leader and the top assist leader, it has Valeri name at the top. And then the third and final thing is that they just at time look very inconsistent. And this has a lot to do with what happened in the regular season, where they went the first 6 games winless, and then they went on a 15-game unbeaten streak, and then after that they gone very inconsistent, where they just keep winning and then losing and then winning and then losing. They never got on a streak, pretty much is what I'm saying. And that's where the inconsistency show. And that's why when you saw that inconsistency after that 15-game unbeaten streak, that is the reason why they were so low down the table. Because doing that 15-game unbeaten streak, and I think right at the end of them, I believe they were top of the Western Conference. And it looked like everything was going to go well for them. But once they hit that inconsistency slide, that's when they started to drop down the table. And at one point even had a big problem of maybe not even making the playoffs in the whole, because of how inconsistent they were. But moving forward for them is that, how are they going to deal with this challenging 12-game road trip to start the season? I mean, this has been something that it's been talked about a lot for the Timbers heading into this new season, and knowing what happened last season when they went on that first 6-game road trip because of Providence Park doing the renovation. It was a nightmare kind of road trip, and they don't want to repeat the same thing as it would be for this time go around. And this time go around, it's twice as long as last year. Last year was 6. This year it's 12 game on the road and 12 straight on the road to start the season. And then the second thing is, can ABovoc be the future number 9 for the Timbers? So we know that Almerteros is no longer with this team, so now that really puts a lot of pressure on ABovoc, because remember, ABovoc actually took over that number 9 job when Almerteros, I believe he was injured, and then once Almerteros went back, that he couldn't able to get back to the starting role because ABovoc was doing so well. And ABovoc is still very, very young, and certainly there's a lot of hype surrounding this kid, but the question is, can he continue that hype? Can he continue to be that good of a player? I know some people will say that he won't be because of what he did in the MLS Cup final, where he was just almost invincible, and I also remember that he missed an absolute sitter that could have got the equalizer for the Portland Timbers. But let's face it, this is only his first year with the Timbers. You're not going to expect a rookie to absolutely light it up in the biggest game of the season, and we'll see how his improvement and his growth will show for this Timbers team heading into these next couple of seasons. And then the final thing is the new look Providence Park. I cannot wait to look at what they did in one of their stand, where they kind of made a stand that looks like the Boca Junior Stadium. And I obviously, if I have a chance to, I hope I have a chance to maybe this year to actually go to Providence Park and sit at that stand, because it looks absolutely amazing. And I bet it's going to cost me a lot of money to sit in that stand, but I don't care. I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful, and I cannot wait to see the final look of that stadium. And certainly they already give us some sneak peek in terms of how it would look, and also some sneak peek of their construction, like doing the construction time and how it looks right now. And right now, even though it's still in a construction phase, it looks absolutely amazing. So yeah, there you go. That is pretty much it for the Moving Forward series for the Portland Timbers. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this? Again, the final episode of the Moving Forward series will be Atlanta United, the champions of MLS, and it's going to be in a little bit of a different format than what I did with the playoff team. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.